It begins in silence. A moment so subtle that no one outside could notice. The world you knew has vanished. The structures you relied on, the rules that guided you, the certainty of yesterday, they no longer exist. Inside, two voices awaken. One whispers, "The world I knew is still here." The other replies, cold and unwavering, "No. It is gone. Everything you believed in was an illusion." This is the first fracture, unseen from the outside, yet a storm brews within. Every action, every thought, every small choice carries the weight of a reality that has shifted entirely. The fracture does not scream. It does not announce itself. It seeps quietly, infiltrating the edges of perception, destabilizing the foundation of self. Memories emerge, not as comfort, but as burdens. The habits and routines that once gave structure now feel like chains. The moral compass that defined your choices, that gave meaning to right and wrong, rings hollow. Morning rituals, familiar words, promises once spoken, all echo within, but no longer offer guidance. Nostalgia rises, tinged with guilt. You long to cling to what was, to the person you were, yet the world that shaped itself is no longer here. Every recollection is a double-edged sword, a reminder of stability lost and the impossibility of returning. The self begins to feel stretched, fragmented, pulled between the comfort of what was and the pressure of what is. Then comes the primal tug of survival. Hunger, fear, the drive to protect oneself, they surge forward, clashing violently with the values you once held sacred. Instinct whispers urgently, take what you need. Protect yourself. Survive at all costs. Conscience counters, trembling yet persistent, that is wrong. There is another way. The self wavers, trembling between these conflicting demands. What does it mean to remain good when the world no longer rewards morality? What does honor mean when survival itself is uncertain? Instinct demands immediate action, conscience hesitates. Ideals that once defined you now feel heavy, cumbersome, almost unreachable. And then, the ultimate question arises, who am I? It is not asked aloud. No one answers. The structures of society, the affirmations of others, the roles and titles that once defined you, have dissolved. Identity must now be self-constructed, forged in isolation. Holding on to the old self becomes an act of futility. The person you thought you were begins to fade, the contours of your essence blur. Anxiety rises, subtle but unrelenting, as the mind grapples with the absence of external confirmation. The self is under siege, confronted by a void where guidance and certainty once existed. Within, voices begin to diverge, each pulling in a different direction. Instinct, conscience, hope, despair, they all claim authority. They clash, debate, sometimes scream silently at each other. Decisions, even small ones, become battlegrounds. Each fragment of the self seeks dominance, yet no single voice is complete or sufficient. The mind splinters into threads, one urging immediate survival, another holding on to ideals, another longing for hope, and yet another sinking into despair. Fragmentation deepens, and the self feels less like a unified whole and more like a network of competing inner realities. The struggle is relentless, invisible, and exhausting. Externally, you may appear functional. You walk, speak, work. You may even smile. But inside, the quiet battle rages. Every action carries the shadow of internal conflict, every choice is a compromise. Fragments of the self may begin to clash, or they may start to weave together in new patterns, creating a self adapted to this fractured world. The rupture is silent, almost imperceptible to the outside observer, but it is decisive. It shapes the path ahead, toward further collapse or the emergence of something entirely new. The mind, like a landscape after a storm, is forever altered. Hills and valleys of thought and instinct, hope and fear, form new contours. Some fragments break completely, lost to chaos. Others begin to combine, forming a resilient, though unfamiliar, identity. The internal rupture is not dramatic in the conventional sense. It is not a breakdown that others can witness. It is a process, slow and inexorable. It fractures the self between past and present, between instinct and conscience, between survival and morality. The struggle occurs in quiet moments, in choices both large and small, in the silent weighing of fragments that pull in different directions. It is the mind's hidden war, shaping the contours of the post-apocalyptic self. Every hesitation, every fleeting thought, every decision carries weight. The inner conflict defines the emerging self more than any external circumstance ever could. Yet within this rupture lies potential. Each fragment carries seeds of creation. Fragments may shatter completely, dissolving into despair. Or they may recombine, forming a new, adaptive self, complex, resilient, capable of navigating a world without anchors. The post-apocalyptic self is forged in the crucible of absence, in the void left by the collapse of old certainties. It is not a return to what once was, nor a simple survival of instinct. It is the construction of something new, shaped by conflict, by necessity, and by the fragments that endure. Internal rupture is the quiet drama of transformation. It is unseen, yet profound. It fractures the self, exposing the tension between past and present, instinct and morality, survival and hope. Each fragment, each conflict, carries the possibility of either destruction or rebirth. Outside, you may seem calm, composed, even intact. Inside, the self battles, splinters, and slowly, painstakingly, begins to transform. It is the post-apocalyptic self, the product of collapse.